The story begins inside the cave. Different types of monsters emerged and launched an attack toward a group of adventurers. Lawrence, the healer of the group, asked Morgan if he could still continue. After confirming with Lawrence that he was fine, Morgan then activated his unique skill Chore Fire and instantly defeated a monster. Learning of a skill that is guaranteed to hit its target, Lawrence always thought of it as terrifying. The leader of the group, Leon, told Lawrence that Morgan was not the only one who had a strong skill. Lawrence did not expect that he would witness Leon's lightning sword in their current situation. Mocking the monster for being slow, Leon eradicated multiple monsters with just a single blow. Lawrence, along with their party members, was always impressed with Leon's unique skill. All humans receive a skill from God when they reach the age of 6. However, the power of the skill varies. Most kids learn the meaning of inequality, like the protagonist of the story, Ryuk, who has the unique skill of luggage carry. Amazed at how skilled everyone was, Ryuk decided to focus on his work since he couldn't join the battles with his strength. Though his task stank, Ryuk still hoped that he could find good materials. Ryuk was then called upon, instructed by Leon to get everyone some water. Ryuk presented options for the group to drink but was interrupted by Leon, who told him that he stunk. After providing water, Leon then told Ryuk to continue gathering materials. Ryuk noticed that everyone seemed cold lately. The Black Lion of the Wise Eye was the group led by Leon, full of S-ranked adventurers. The party was currently attracting more attention for completing difficult missions. Although Ryuk was proud to be with the group since D rank, he also felt ashamed. With his unique skill alone, which allowed him to carry 10 times more luggage than others, Ryuk wished he could at least have a more combative skill and not just one suitable for an errand runner. In the world Ryuk lived in, there existed the concepts of weight and maximum load, in which Ryuk excelled. Reptile then called for everyone, informing them that she had found a super rare item. The others were very pleased as they had located the item they were looking for. Checking the status of the rare item, it was revealed that the person who equipped the large bag of the greedy could increase their maximum load to 5,000. Hearing the item's effects, Ryuk became nervous since the item's maximum load was 5 times more than his, which meant he was inferior to the bag. Leon then approached Ryuk, praising him for his work. However, with a sinister smile, Leon told Ryuk that he was now fired. It was revealed by the majority of the party that once they got the legendary item, they would kick Ryuk out of the team, removing the weakest member. Experiencing hardships together for the past 2.5 years, Ryuk told Leon that his joke was not funny and was too much. Kicking Ryuk's shin, Leon reminded Ryuk that he was just a small fry who only knew about carrying luggage. After kicking Ryuk in the chest, the others laughed, finding it interesting to call Ryuk the luggage carrier. Unable to understand what was happening, Ryuk pleaded for the group to take him. Admitting that he was useless when it came to combat, he reassured everyone that he would make their job easier by carrying all of their items. Although Ryuk had promised to be useful, Leon and the others only found him annoying. Following Leon's order, Morgan punched Ryuk in the stomach. Lawrence told Morgan that his attack wouldn't do and suggested they take the luggage first. Lawrence apologized to Ryuk, informing him that the value of his existence was only the contents of his bag. As Ryuk's consciousness faded, he remembered the words that Leon had told him 2 years ago. All that mattered to Ryuk was for Leon to fight comfortably, reassuring Leon that he would carry his luggage. Thanking Ryuk for his work, Leon told him that he was important to Black Lion's Wise Eye. Ryuk was very happy after Leon praised his unique skill. As the person Ryuk admired, he wondered if Leon had already forgotten what he had said to him before. When Leon told Ryuk that his skill was very strong, Ryuk was surprised, thinking that Leon remembered. But Leon revealed that he would never forget Ryuk's expression after receiving a compliment. Leon shared how he had fun with Ryuk, who was willing to be their slave after being shown a little kindness. Ryuk could not believe that everyone had never treated him as a teammate from the beginning. Noticing something, Lawrence took an item that belonged to Ryuk's mother. Believing they could sell the item for money, Leon decided to take it. After being told by Leon that he would have to use his power in order to get the item back, Ryuk was then filled with rage, which empowered his whole body, allowing him to stand up. Surprised by his newfound power, Ryuk thought it was the hidden ability of his unique skill, luggage carry. When Ryuk suddenly charged at Leon for an attack, he was astonished by how fast he was. However, it was still not fast enough for Leon, as he easily knocked Ryuk out with just one kick. Ryuk was confused, believing he should be strong enough with his new awakening. However, he could no longer stand up. After having his head stomped by Leon, Ryuk realized that everything that had just happened was all in his head. Grabbing Ryuk's hair, Leon reminded him once again that he was just a small fry. Leon then told Ryuk that he was welcome to challenge them anytime and take back his mother's keepsake. After being left for dead, Ryuk felt that something was pressing down on him. Thinking that he would be eaten by magic beasts, Ryuk then noticed that he felt something warm. Ryuk became curious about what was on top of him. It was then revealed that a young woman was sitting on Ryuk, assuming that he was a seat cushion. The woman was shocked as she did not expect that someone would be lying on the ground. Seeing the woman's underwear, Ryuk mistakenly mentioned the color first. Realizing his mistake, he immediately corrected himself, asking for help. With a disgusted look, the woman then calls Ryuk a pervert. The woman asks Ryuk if he was a pervert, similar to people who pretend to be exhausted to peek at underwear. Tears rolling down his eyes, Ryuk cannot deny that he had seen the woman's underwear. Ryuk was pissed as he could not believe that before his life ended, he would be scorned by a girl after being abandoned by his teammates. Believing that his death is inevitable, Ryuk was surprised when the woman approached him, pointing something at his face. It was revealed that it was the woman's favorite dango. Although the dango is not a potion, the woman shares that it still can restore physical strength. The woman had decided to trust Ryuk, as she had doubts that he was a real pervert. The woman instructs Ryuk to finish eating everything once he starts. Though the woman has a cold face, Ryuk finds her very strange. Starting to munch down on the food, Ryuk was having difficulty chewing the food since his body was starting to feel numb. Seeing the woman salivating, Ryuk tried to give some to the woman, but the woman refused, as she did not want to break the rules. Hearing the ridiculous dango ideology from the woman, Ryuk could not help but think of water. For sharing her favorite dango with him, Ryuk thought that the woman may be a good person. After introducing himself to the woman, Ryuk asks her why she is inside the cave. The woman revealed that she is looking for the large bag of the greedy and heard that it can be found inside the cave. Realizing that the woman is looking for the item that Leon and the others found, Ryuk tells the woman that someone already took the item. The woman found it a pity and decided to just go back. Ryuk asks the woman how she plans on going back and informs her that the path she is taking is where magic beasts are known to appear. After advising the woman to just stay in their current location where it is safe, the woman reveals that she knows the danger that lies ahead. Judging by how the woman looked, Ryuk assumed that the woman entered the cave using the demon repellent potion. Despite being a consumable, the demon repellent potion is still heavy. With the structure of the dungeon, conquering it would take quite a bit of time. Ryuk does not think that the woman has enough potion for her to return. After receiving multiple warnings from Ryuk, the woman kept on telling Ryuk that she knows. As the woman turns around, Ryuk uses all of his strength in order to save the woman, who was about to get attacked by a lizard monster. Getting injured in the process, Ryuk checks his bag if there's still something he can use. Grabbing a demon repellent potion, Ryuk throws it at the monster, creating a smoke screen. Gaining 10 minutes to escape, Ryuk grabbed the woman and fled the area. Curious as to why Ryuk saved her, the woman tells Ryuk that she would be troubled if something happens to him while trying to protect her. Ryuk asks the woman about her unique skill, planning to work together in order to take down the lizard man. The woman refused to reveal her skill, as she thought that Ryuk would be disappointed. The woman tells Ryuk that she is useless since her skill is just an amulet crafter. The woman's skill can only create a type of amulet called omamori, from the materials of magic beasts. Such amulets are items that only need to be carried in the bag, in order to utilize their inherent effectiveness. The effect of the amulet increases the user's strength, magic power, or stamina by a little. However, carrying 2 or more amulets will cancel out their effects. Amulets are adored by the less informed newbies. However, since newbies do not have much knowledge of dangers, it is said that adventurers who enter the dungeon carrying an amulet will die. Amulet crafter is well known to be the weakest production skill. As the effect of the monster repellent potion runs out, the woman tells Ryuk that they will then face their death. After telling Ryuk that her skill is not useful, the woman is still confused as to why Ryuk suddenly asks her to make an amulet for him. Believing that they will ultimately face death, the woman wonders why Ryuk is still smiling. After creating 6 pieces of amulet for Ryuk, the woman wonders the point in creating so many when one person can only carry one. The woman thought that Ryuk is crazy for believing that the amulets would work, more especially since his weapon is just a bamboo skewer. The woman covers her eyes as the demon repellent potion has run out. The woman was shocked to see that Ryuk managed to pierce the bamboo skewer through the lizard man. The woman couldn't believe that she just witnessed the power of all of her 6 amulets combined. With his action, Ryuk was able to confirm his theory that a luggage carrier can carry multiple amulets at once. Although Ryuk is not sure about the specifics, the luggage carrier gives special properties to carrying things. Ryuk remembers a similar experience where he carried 2 cursed items without canceling their effects. Ryuk realizes that his luggage carrier skill is able to manage each item separately, as if putting them in separate rooms. Listening to Ryuk, the woman realizes that Ryuk will keep on getting stronger without a limit, the more amulets he has. Planning to return to the city, the woman introduces herself as Mio Kokono, and tells Ryuk that he is her destiny. Covering her face, the woman realized how embarrassing what she had just said, and wished for the ground to just swallow her up. Pleased to hear when Mio called him her destiny, Ryuk turns around and thanks Mio. Although Mio kept telling Ryuk to not call her by her first name, Mio regrets calling him her destiny. Forming a party together, the two have decided to return together. In order for them to return, Ryuk tells Mio that they needed to collect more materials in order to make more amulets. One by one, Ryuk and Mio collected the materials needed and eventually created 6 more attack prayer charms. Seeing one of her amulets being hung outside of the bag, Mio tells Ryuk that he doesn't need to hang it outside, and that it won't be her fault if he gets laughed at. Ryuk wonders why Mio has no confidence in her own amulets, as he believes that her amulets can be of great help. In order to get his mother's keepsake back from Leon, Ryuk will have to find his way back alive first. Surrounded by multiple monsters, Mio becomes worried as she deems that Ryuk won't be strong enough to handle such a large number. Believing that they will die because her skill is too weak, Ryuk reassures Mio that her amulet is the strongest, which he will prove. Mio couldn't believe that her hand stopped shaking after Ryuk just patted her head. Mio becomes more confused when Ryuk suddenly throws away his knife. Ryuk reveals that the best way for them to survive was fighting the monsters with his bare hands. Meanwhile, Morgan was thrown on the ground. After asking Morgan if he was okay, Leon tells Morgan that arrogance is always present in strong people like them. Seeing Morgan struggling to fight a spider monster, Leon believes that it was unlike Morgan. Leon noticed that ever since they chased Ryuk away, the gears connecting them have started to fall out of sync. The team was now walking on a path of continuous failures. After being told by Ryuk that he will prove her amulets are the strongest, Mio was very curious as to why Ryuk just threw away his knife. Mio knows that it is impossible to fight so many magic beasts barehanded. However, she herself feels confused as her heart is pounding so much. Charging towards multiple monsters, Ryuk easily knocked the lizard man down with one punch. Staring at his hand, Ryuk thought that his fist was better than using a knife that he hadn't practiced with. Impressed with Ryuk's strength, Mio then warns him of the incoming bats on his left. Blocking the attack with just his arms, Ryuk couldn't fully protect himself, receiving an injury. Mio becomes worried for Ryuk's safety since the amulets she made are only for offense. Believing that her amulets are still not enough to help Ryuk, Mio has decided to fight in her own way. After receiving encouragement from Ryuk, Mio now plans to enhance her amulets even more. With the purpose of protecting Ryuk, Mio created an amulet solely for defense enhancement. Mio then calls for Ryuk, giving him a new amulet he could use. Ryuk was very pleased and thanked Mio for giving him a defense prayer charm. Mio reminds Ryuk about proving her amulets to be the strongest. Mio then asks Ryuk if he would be fine with her hating him if he couldn't prove his words. Ryuk responds to Mio that he is fine with her conditions, while holding 2 monsters and being bitten by others. With multiple attack and defense prayers in Ryuk's bag, Mio believes that Ryuk now has enough strength to get them out of the cave. All of a sudden, a loud sound engulfed the whole cave. Although Ryuk couldn't see the source of the sound, he felt that it was coming. Ryuk was in shock, as the source of the sound was a massive monster, which made him wonder if it was the boss of the cave. Using the power of 12 attack prayer amulets, Ryuk picked up a stone and threw it at the huge monster. Dodging Ryuk's attack, the monster then jumped in front of them, knocking Ryuk and Mio into the air. The boss monster then tried targeting Mio with its web. However, Ryuk blocked the attack, which led to him being swung hard into the wall. Still conscious after being slammed, Ryuk believes he would have died if it weren't for Mio's defense amulets. Realizing that the silk is a strong adhesive, Ryuk thought he would have a hard time removing it by himself. Mio was worried for Ryuk, since his right hand was completely tied. However, Mio was more surprised when Ryuk started grabbing the silk with his other hand. Mio tried to warn Ryuk about the stickiness of the web, but Ryuk reassured Mio that it was fine and advised her to stand back. With all his strength, Ryuk pulled the web from the boss monster, causing it immense pain. Confirming that Mio's amulets were the strongest, Ryuk then pulled the boss monster until he was swinging it. Proving the power of Mio's amulet, Ryuk smashed the boss monster after swinging it wildly. With one move from Ryuk, the boss monster was defeated. Amazed by Ryuk, Mio believed that the massive monster was the dungeon boss, which is called the Earth Dragon Spider. The monster was rumored to be undefeatable even for strong adventurers. Admitting to Ryuk that she was on the verge of giving up on herself, Mio thanked Ryuk for proving the power of her amulets. Seeing Ryuk's silent reaction, Mio felt embarrassed. Ryuk then apologized and explained that he was just thinking of something. Feeling enthused, Ryuk wished to confirm how strong he would become if he combined his power with Mio's. Meanwhile, Leon was lying on his back and noticed that Morgan was still fighting a monster. Seeing Leon stare at the item, Reptile asked if he no longer planned on selling it. Leon had changed his mind, deciding to keep the item as a memento to remember Ryuk's dedication. Leon believed his kind act would make people empathize more. The others laughed as they couldn't believe Leon could make up such a beautiful story about Ryuk's death. Leon mentioned that only in the presence of the weak can the strong truly shine. Leon then asked Morgan if he was different from Ryuk and hoped Morgan wouldn't make him draw his sword. Morgan warned Leon that the monster was strong, but Leon still proceeded to attack it. Missing his swing, Leon ended up getting jumped by the monster, surprising his teammates. Reptile and the others hastily defeated the monster. Exhausted, Leon then asked Morgan if he got overconfident. Asking if Morgan no longer trusted him after chasing Ryuk away, Leon blamed Morgan for making him fight the magic beast, which led to him getting injured. Morgan told Leon that his accusation was incorrect, explaining that he fought the monster with all his strength. Leon did not believe Morgan's words after witnessing such a messy performance. Holding Leon, Lawrence asked him to calm down and mentioned that they just coincidentally encountered a strong monster. Leon agreed with Lawrence's theory, as he himself couldn't explain how it took all of their strength just to defeat one monster. Suddenly feeling immense pain in his arm, Leon realized he was poisoned and asked Lawrence for the antidote. Lawrence tried looking for the antidote but was unable to find it. Listening to Lawrence, Leon then accused him of pretending not to find it so he would die. However, Lawrence insisted he really couldn't find the antidote. Leon then compared Lawrence to Ryuk, who could easily take things out. With the antidote no longer an option, Leon told Lawrence that a poison recovery spell would do. Lawrence reminded Leon that items are much faster than casting magic. Leon became angry and asked Lawrence if he was going to blame him for everything. Exhausted and in pain, Leon questioned why they were struggling so much with just one spider, wondering what had changed from before. Back in town, news spread about the reports of deaths and injuries caused by the Earth Dragon spider. Two men having a conversation in a bar wondered if Leon and the others were okay. The old man wasn't worried about Leon and his group since they were a party of S-rank adventurers. The two men were surprised when the Black Lion of the Wise Eye entered the establishment, all beaten and injured. Approaching the group, the old man asked Leon what had happened to them and where Ryuk was. Showing Ryuk's pendant, Leon told the old man that he had only been able to get Ryuk's pendant when the Earth Dragon spider appeared, which made Ryuk run away. Based on Leon's story, Ryuk had been chased by the Earth Dragon spider, ended up isolating himself, and was killed in the process. Slamming his fist on the ground, Leon blamed himself for being weak and not being able to protect Ryuk, who was supposed to have died at the hands of the Earth Dragon spider. Touching Leon's shoulder, the old man didn't know how to comfort him but still wished to tell Leon something. He told Leon not to blame himself since caring too much for his teammates was both his strength and his shortcoming. As the others shed tears for Ryuk's supposed death, the guildmaster, observing from the top, was told by the woman beside her to comfort the group as well. However, the guildmaster had a different reaction, doubting that Ryuk had really run away. Lying on the bed, Leon then asked the others how much they had received. After collecting the adventurers' insurance money and support money, Reptile calculated that the amount they got would be enough for everyone to buy new weapons. The group laughed so hard thinking everyone was gullible. Leon praised Ryuk for finally doing something good for them. Not only had the group received money, but Leon also believed that his chance of receiving a hero medal had increased even more. When one of them thought of Ryuk being alive, Leon scoffed, believing Ryuk couldn't have survived since he was just a brat who couldn't do anything alone. Meanwhile, Ryuk and Mio continued their journey, looking for a way out. The two had run out of recovery medicine and had been walking continuously for several days. Ryuk wouldn't have been surprised if one of them collapsed on the spot soon. Seeing natural daylight at the end of their path, Ryuk and Mio were relieved that they would finally be out of the dungeon. However, more bad news awaited them. Thieves were lying in wait, asking for Ryuk and Mio's treasures. The bandit, thinking Ryuk and Mio were weak based on their appearance, ordered someone to investigate. Using the appraisal skill, the thieves learned that Ryuk was a luggage carrier and Mio an amulet crafter. The thieves then laughed upon learning that the two had what they considered trash skills. After their skills were mocked by the bandit, Mio felt depressed. Ryuk and Mio's situation wasn't good as they were both exhausted. Adventurers are easily targeted by robbers on their return because they are likely to be fatigued. Thieves commonly wait for adventurers since they usually carry rare items on their way out. Mockingly, the bandit asked Ryuk to put his bag down, not expecting Ryuk to tell him to move aside. The bandit laughs at Ryuk, asking him if he really thought they could return home safely. Insulting the amulet dangling from Ryuk's bag, the bandit asks if his mother gave it to him. The bandit tells Ryuk that wearing an amulet is the same as announcing that they're an idiot. Laughing hard, the bandit stopped only when Ryuk told him to move for the second time. Believing that Ryuk couldn't understand his words, the bandit then activated his inherent skill to teach Ryuk a lesson. However, what happened instead was Ryuk breaking the bandit's sword. The bandit looked puzzled, unable to believe that Ryuk blocked his sword with just his bare hand. The bandit, proud of his hardened sword skill which can cut through even steel, was curious as to what Ryuk did. Crushing the sword even further, Ryuk reminded the bandit again to move. Scared out of his wits, the bandit fell back as Ryuk was about to leave the dungeon. The old man, who witnessed something impossible, decided to check the contents of Ryuk's bag. Another bandit then wondered if Ryuk had an S-ranked body enhancement item. The bandit asked the old man where the item was so he could steal it. However, the two were shocked to learn that the bag was just full of amulets. The old man began to consider the effect of the charms accumulating. When Ryuk asked the two if they found what they were looking for, they immediately ran away, fearing for their lives. Turning back, Ryuk told Mio that they could now safely return. However, the bandit had already grabbed Mio, making her a hostage. The bandit then threatened Ryuk. Before the bandit could instill fear in Ryuk, he was surprised when Ryuk suddenly vanished and appeared behind him. It was revealed that Mio's new charm, called Swiftness Prayer, gave Ryuk an insane boost in speed. Realizing that he couldn't win against Ryuk no matter what, the bandit released Mio and begged Ryuk to show mercy. Ryuk apologized to the bandit, informing him that it was already too late. The bandit couldn't believe what he heard from Ryuk. Wanting to forgive him, Ryuk could no longer do so as he had already broken the bandit's wrist. Leaving the dungeon, Ryuk asked Mio if she was injured. Holding her hand, Ryuk told her not to get separated from him since it was dangerous. Staring at the bright sun, Ryuk thought he would never see it again. After 10 days inside the dungeon, Ryuk had finally seen sunlight again. The members of the Wise Eye of the Dark Lion received gratitude for responding to the kingdom's quest. The group was then informed that their task was to protect the soldiers while they fixed the wall in case of a sudden monster attack. Reptil whispered to Leon, stating that the task was too simple. However, Leon advised Reptil not to underestimate the task, as it would give them a chance to prove their might for future opportunities. The knight then remembered that the group had a boy with a backpack and wondered what had happened to him. Realizing the knight was talking about Ryuk, Leon told the knight that Ryuk left since he was unable to keep up with the group. Calling Ryuk weak, the knight then asked Leon to give them a moment. After 20 minutes, the knight told Leon and the others that the other knights behind him would be joining them. Leon did not expect more knights to join them. He was now annoyed since they wouldn't be able to prove their strength with the knights fighting alongside them. When a swarm of wyverns appeared, Leon smirked, deeming the wyverns weak and hunted them all the time. Receiving the signal from Leon, Lawrence used his unique skill called Snake Eyes on the knights. One of the knights recognized the skill that immobilized the target for a few seconds, which made him wonder what the Wise Eye of the Dark Lion was doing. Running towards the wyverns, Leon told the knights to leave the fighting to them, claiming the wyverns as their prey. Later that night, Mio told Ryuk that she had placed her trust in him and decided to stay by his side. However, Ryuk kept telling Mio that her decision was a mistake. In shock, Ryuk believed that successfully booking an inn had always been his strength. However, there were no rooms left at the inn. Sharing her bright idea, Mio told Ryuk that if they got drunk, they would surely come up with a good idea. Ryuk thought Mio's idea was ridiculous, as he had never heard of an idea for trying to come up with an idea. Ryuk then realized that Mio was the type of person who lets problems solve their own problems. Entering the bar, Ryuk expressed how it was his first time in a bar for Easterners. As the two drank wine for their safe return, Ryuk was confused since they were drinking from square cups. Before Ryuk could notice, Mio had already started eating a big dango. Ryuk then realized that he did not know much about Mio and wondered if he should take the chance to know more about her. Drinking the wine, Ryuk asked Mio about the reason she entered the dungeon alone. Since she was talking with Ryuk, Mio thought she could share it with him. It was revealed that Mio's father was being harassed. Where Mio was born, people were subjected to horrible bullying just for having weak skills. Aside from putting animal carcasses on their front porch, the walls of Mio's house also had "Get out of the country" written down. Their storehouse was also burned down. When Mio tried asking for the reason for the bullying, an old lady told her that she couldn't let people with weak skills near her children and grandchildren, thinking that being weak might be contagious. Ryuk commented that what people said about Mio's skill was just an old wives' tale. Mio agreed with Ryuk but believed that people's words had some truth to them. It was known that skills were hereditary, which meant the children could also receive the same as their parents. Ryuk thought that harassing a person based on how weak a skill is was just awful. Mio revealed that her father's skill was also the same as hers, an amulet crafter. When it was revealed that Mio's skill was also an amulet crafter, on the day Mio turned 6, her father apologized to her over and over again. Wanting to comfort her father in any way possible, Mio told him that the amulet crafter skill was the strongest skill. Mio then set out to prove the usefulness of her skill. She only needed someone to use her amulet, which made her believe that she would then be acknowledged. With the money her father saved up, Mio was able to find work in a country with less stigma on skills. Even though she was laughed at day by day, Mio still kept going since someone bought one of her charms. However, one day, Mio was approached by the knights. When she asked what was wrong, the knight showed her a bloodied charm, asking if she was familiar with it. Showing Mio a corpse, the knight told her that they couldn't identify the body since there were missing limbs. The knight then asked Mio if she knew anything about the man. Recognizing the man who once bought her charm, Mio thought that the man's death had nothing to do with her. However, she could not fathom the thought that her efforts to be acknowledged had affected the life and death of a man. Wondering what her next goal would be, Mio overheard a conversation about the large bag of greedy, which enhances every item the user owns. Thinking that her amulets would be enhanced, Mio was left with no choice but to believe in the stupid tale and wandered alone into the dungeon. Even though Mio didn't find what she was searching for, she was still glad to enter the dungeon because she found Ryuk inside. Embarrassed, Mio hastily drank the wine. Thinking that Mio may have had one too many, Ryuk suggested that they get some water for her. However, Mio claimed she was not drunk. Carrying a drunk Mio on his back, Ryuk could not concentrate since he could feel Mio's chest on his back. Finally reaching the inn, Ryuk placed Mio on the bed. Knowing that sharing the same bed with a woman was a bad idea, Ryuk decided to try and look for somewhere else to sleep. Ryuk stopped when Mio asked him to stay. Mio was afraid that when the sun rose, Ryuk would no longer be there for her. Though she had only known Ryuk for a few days, Mio felt like it was a beautiful dream where only great things happened. Mio cried, expressing how she no longer wanted to wake up. Listening to Mio, Ryuk decided that the both of them would prove the power of the amulet crafter. Mio was puzzled as she did not expect that Ryuk would actually help her. Ryuk shared that the reason he became an adventurer was to help somebody. As a luggage carrier paired with Mio's amulet crafter, Ryuk wanted to see how far they could go to prove their goal. Meanwhile, a woman was practicing her slashes and assessed that she still couldn't keep up, even with a sonic slash. The woman wondered what she could do to reach a high level. A knight wielding a sword and shield was sobbing, as she was once again left by Alicia. The woman was shocked after witnessing Alicia bathing in monster blood. Alicia asked Kyun if she wished to join in taking a bath in blood. Punching the monster's carcass, Kyun got startled and ended up falling over in a pool of blood. Kyun cried as she was now getting sick of being Alicia's bodyguard. Alicia told Kyun that when they feel their dead enemies with their flesh, they will become stronger. Alicia von Farman was very much known as the strongest knight. On Leon's side, a knight asked everyone who came up with the idea of summoning the wise eye of the Dark Lion. On his knees, Leon could not believe that they struggled so much against the wyverns. Leon told the knight that they hadn't shown their full strength yet and that they normally would win against the wyverns. Realizing that Leon was still not getting the situation, the knight thought of him as pitiful. The knight then told Leon that the young man had left him. Confused, Leon wondered if the knight was implying Ryuk. Cursing Ryuk, Leon wondered what Ryuk had done to them.